Here we go. Okay. I don't know why I always gasp.
Where does yesterday's future, which is already here, meet today's future, which is about to happen, and tomorrow's future, which could be
My
just
watches are getting new
minutes
batteries,
away?
so I'm pretending.
Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
There we go. Thank you to the voice who introduces me. I'm now going by Bonnie D. Happy to be here, and this is one of my favorite topics on Technology Revolution, but don't tell the other people, please. Okay, we are doing the future of poets and poetry and AI, part 3. Now, it's unusual to have a live poetry reading on a show like this, but I started a couple of months ago with these 3 wonderful, prolific, visionary, verbal, talented, imaginative, well-read, well-worded, versatile, Trevor, I'm not done yet, well-traveled, wonderful, prolific poets. And I was so happy with the way the shows turned out that I decided to invite them back, and they graciously are sharing more of their poetry with me. So we're going to do a slideshow. I will play it, and they will narrate their own poetry. But first, I just want to do my usual introduction because I'm thrilled to have you all here. So let me welcome back. Bob Gossom is here, and Cheryl Michie is here, and Trevor Harrison is here. And let me read my intro, and then we'll do a quick round of predictions because that's what we do on the show, and then we'll go into the reading. So welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where AI meets real poets. We'll explore when, where, and how with Bonnie D on her Scarlett Mic live streaming. Bright, the future of poets and AI, part 3 is our special spotlight. Bob Gossom, Cheryl Michie, Trevor Harrison, Published Poets 3 predict how AI shapes research, formats, and marketing with clarity. Their live on-air readings will transport you near and far, human poets revealing how talented and visionary they are. Truly. Okay, Bob, I have a new opening for you. I hope you like this. From pathways filled with stories where imagination found its spark, Bob learned that words could build connections and illuminate the dark. Across stages, roles, and disciplines, his curiosity took flight, discovering how language and ideas can reshape our insight. Never limited to one lane, he followed meaning where it led, finding rhythm in expression and the human truths that were unsaid. From technology and systems to performance rich with art, Bob found that poetry and purpose often share the heart. His work, The Human Equation, reaches beyond the page alone as voice and presence transformed ideas to become fully known. Today, Bob returns where poetry and possibility keep amplifying, exploring futures framed in verse as life and technology keep inspiring. Bob, welcome back. I hope you like that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. Cheryl is next. Through color and conversation where imagination finds its way, Cheryl creates with purpose through each unfolding day. Her canvas holds reflections where stories quietly appear, bringing meaning to emotion and making hidden truths feel near. Artistry and teaching joined in thoughtful balance side by side, Cheryl opens doors to understanding with compassion as her guide. Through language, insight, and creativity, her vision reaches far, helping others find connections in who they already are. Poet, painter, and explorer of ideas, both deep and free, Cheryl invites reflection on the world and all that we might see. Today she returns where artistry and futures intertwine, exploring poetry, possibility, and technology through her always thoughtful design. Welcome back, Cheryl. I hope you enjoyed that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, good. You're welcome. I have some guests who say who you're talking about when I read their opening. And Trevor is back. Here we go. Through roads less traveled and stories gathered far and wide, Trevor explores humanity, wonder, and curiosity as his guide. Across cultures and landscapes where voices rise and blend, he searches for the places where differences begin and sometimes end. With a sociologist's eye and a poet's thoughtful grace, Trevor studies how identity and belonging shape our unique space. Through politics and people, through memory and art, He writes of what connects us at the center of the heart. From war and other inconveniences to journeys expanding what we see, his verses cross borders with treasures of possibility. Trevor joins us where poetry and perspectives roam free, exploring how verses and tech shape stories of who we may yet be. Trevor, welcome back. I hope you
Thank
enjoyed
you.
that. You're
That was
welcome.
wonderful.
I'm glad. Wonderful. I'll take it.
Proof,
And now
proof
let
that
me
AI
wrap this.
couldn't replace the human being.
There you go, because I did that. From these vision-rich poets, the future shines bright as AI and technology assist their imagination with new ways of insight. From theme and structure to rhythm and flow, we'll explore how tech, I'm using tech instead of AI, how tech may help you and human poets continue to glow. So there we are. What do we think? Do we give me and Sylvie a round of applause? What do you think, kids? Was that good? I particularly enjoyed these because I knew we had to refresh them because I know the three of you remembered every word of the last two times I introduced you. I'm only kidding, but I have to be careful about that as well. Okay, let's do a quick round. Rather than just going into what's new with you, I'd like to speed through the predictions round and then we want to get to the poetry and you can add some sidebars if you want. So Bob, you sent me one new prediction here. You say AI will get better, AIs, LLMs will get better at understanding poets and authors' voices as they edit. Bob, why don't you just take this apart for about 2 minutes and let's see if Cheryl and Trevor have anything to add and then we'll move on. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, this is just from observation. It's fun. I sometimes drop my poems into AI and tell it to analyze them, and the responses is pretty remarkable. And uh, I just think it's going to get better.
What's your expectation when you say to analyze? What are you expecting the outcome
Um,
to be?
Well, some it's just curiosity. I say, what is my techniques? I like as if I know myself, but and it pulls apart what I'm doing, and I go, yes, yes, yes. Oh, I didn't know I did that. Um,
Ah,
but I mean, I kind of knew I did that, but I didn't know it was a thing. Um, I learned new poetic terms that I was using that I didn't know I used in jam a lot. I mean, I knew I did. I didn't know it had a name. That's where you break the line. Um,
interesting.
but also, sometimes when I finish a poem, I'll drop it into AI, and very often it will point out one word or line that it thinks is weak. And almost in 100% of the time so far, it's been the same line I've been working on. Um,
Interesting. Interesting.
and so just and online a constant editor at our fingertips.
Thank you. Trevor is nodding. You use it the same way, or will you? Would you?
I haven't used it, but that's really intriguing. I mean, any feedback to your writing is always useful. And of course, as with a human critic, you can do the same with this and say, well, I don't, I will follow that. I don't think that hell is very helpful, but clearly it's been helpful for Bob, and it does sound like a really interesting process of getting some analysis. Yeah.
Cheryl, what about you?
Yes, I would definitely do that. In fact, I was making little notes saying, try some of this because editing, it's when you go back to edit a poem, it's so personal. I find it really hard, and I
Mhm.
often have to give it a little bit of space. And there's certain things that I do, like I'll repeat words quite a bit, and I only notice that later. And so I think, throwing it into AI just to get another, eye on it I will definitely do that. And yeah, so thanks
And
for
I'm going to
offering.
add something to that immediacy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
It's
Mhm.
available 24/7. You're working on a poem. Cheryl, you might give yourself the space but maybe at 3 in the morning or 6 in the morning or 9 at night, you want to look at that again and you would really appreciate some feedback or some insight into what you did or what you repeated or what you want to change. You might call your editor, you might text them, email them, and they might say, I have an opening for you next Friday at 3 o'clock. I'm
Yeah.
working with 5 other clients. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm just saying with an AI, it's there when you are ready, when you need. It may not be the end all and be all of the editor you're looking for, but the feedback is there instantaneously within seconds. I find that very valuable because I write at odd times of the day and night. I'm not a clock
For
person.
yeah.
Bob?
For the AI skeptics, I had a recent poem though, and I have a friend who's a very close reader, and I gave her the poem, and she found the word that I was actually that AI had never touched, and it was the right word to fix.
And
So
Sylvie will say to me sometimes, this will be better on a live read on air. This will
yeah,
sound better in your voice than this word. And she'll find something that I had changed. I call it tweak. I say tweak and I send it back.
yeah,
And she'll say, I think this will sound better on air. And
yeah,
sometimes she's right, and sometimes, but she knows me, what I do in my style. So she's
right.
imagining the voice rather than just looking at the word on
That's
air.
my point. She's learning about you
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
and where you're using this
She
and
she
directing
knows.
it. And
She
and
knows.
it's going to get better and better at that.
It does. And it's not replacing anything as far as I'm
No.
concerned. It's just adding value. So let's move on. And I call her my collaborateur. It might be the French word might be collaborateuse. I have to check with her and see. Okay. My French is not where it should be. Cheryl, I'm looking at your prediction. This is an interesting one. You say, I find it hard to imagine how to market my poetry. Using AI can help you or me imagine more ways to market. For example, ideas how to build a poet brand or ideas on creating a marketing strategy. And then Cheryl says, I start with simple prompts like, can you help me understand how to market my poetry? Very, very basic. Cheryl, why don't you add to this a little bit and then we'll see what the two gentlemen have to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I threw this prompt into AI and it really did help. I do have trouble figuring out how to market my poems. I mean, there's just so many aspects to be able to think of all at once. So I threw that prompt in, and there were so many different ideas that I really appreciated. Just figuring out voice, making sure that you have bios. That fit for where you're sending your poems off to, and then finding the right fit for your poems as far as which excuse me magazines you're sending them to, or editorials that you're sending them to. So that really, it just helps to break it down, all the pieces, and it helps for myself to make it feel more manageable that, okay, I can do this part and this part. The social media presence, I find a little bit hard, but that can be broken down as well. So it's just, I don't know. I think it's great to get that kind of, again, instant feedback. It generates ideas for myself to try. So.
Thank you. I like that because that has nothing to do with writing or structure or research or anything. That's a totally different, shall we say, an exterior around how do you get it out to the world. Trevor, Bob, any comments on what Cheryl proposes?
Absolutely. I don't know about Trevor and Cheryl, but I find it very hard to write marketing copy about myself.
Ah,
I tend to be very self-deprecating, and you don't always
you,
want that.
Bob? Seriously? Okay, I don't know that, Bob, but we'll,
Sorry. Well,
okay.
anyway, I find it hard to write about myself, and AI can help there.
Okay, Trevor, any thoughts on marketing?
Yeah, it's interesting as Bob said. It's hard sometimes, I think, for writers to put themselves forward. I was told this many years ago. Someone said, "Yeah, you need to present yourself a little more strongly, out into the world." But it's really difficult for a lot of us. But the fact is, most of us don't write just for ourselves. So you want somebody out there to be reading it. And as Cheryl says, then how do you actually do it in such a way to get your words out into the public so someone will read and respond to it? And that's a
Yeah.
challenge, particularly, I think, writing poetry. So, yeah.
And enjoy it. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Cheryl. Good one. And let's go to Trevor. You sent me two. Let me read the first one. You say new technologies over and above AI will lead to poems taking on a more cosmopolitan flavor as cultures mix. That's very, very interesting. I'll read the second one after you take this one apart briefly. Trevor, what do you think?
Yeah, one of the things that strikes me about the modern world is on the one hand, we have kind of lots of cultures and countries putting up barriers to each other. But on the cultural level, when I read a lot of things from different authors, I'm struck by the fact that new words that are in some other language are suddenly introduced to us that we didn't know about, and ideas from other cultures and ways of seeing the world are creeping in. So culture has a way of kind of being very cosmopolitan and global, and I think that that's one of the things that we're actually seeing right now with the new technologies.
Very interesting. And let's go before we get everybody around the table to comment on that. Let's add the other one. There may be a revival of historical forms and allusions as writers seek out ways to break out of modernity. And I'm assuming that AI would help you do that. Trevor, can you unpack that one and then we'll see what the other two have to say?
Yeah, again, just as we talk about crossing borders geographically, I think there's also temporal borders as well. And so one of the things that AI and new technologies can do is kind of alert us to previous ways of thinking about the world, which is really what I think what poetry does. And so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we're going to have a revival of Beowulf or something. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Cheryl or Bob, any comments?
Well, I love those two predictions from Trevor because they're reflected in his work throughout his work, which is we'll find as we read. And I think you've been doing this your whole life, has wonderful historic references and he's well traveled and writes about it. So these predictions fit right in line with his worldview, I think.
That's a nice compliment, Trevor. Very,
Thank
very
you. Yes.
nice. Yeah. Cheryl, any thoughts on historical and allusions and whatever?
Yeah, I have found it very helpful just to use AI when reading poetry, that there's either plants or animals or some sort of landscape that I'm not understanding, and be able to put it in and get a little, just more information, and helps me understand the poem and the place where it's taking, where the poet is writing from. So, back in the day, we would open up the encyclopedia, right? And sort of
Oh, you
dig.
had one of those too?
Yeah.
Did
So,
anybody have the World Book, by the way? Anybody have World Book Encyclopedia?
oh, yeah,
We
absolutely.
had,
So, I love this.
Britannica. That was the one
Britannica?
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
parents had
trying
bought
to
the
Have
World
remember.
Book.
glossy photos of
Yes,
everything. Yes.
glossy
Birds
pages.
and
Yes.
plants.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cheryl, you're right. Or we would go to the library, and if it was later years, we'd look through the microfiche, right, and try and figure out what was something was all about. Yeah, there were other resources. It's just closer to home now, right?
Just as an aside to what Cheryl was saying, so my wife will be out walking, and there's these apps now for birds. It'll record sound and what bird is it. I think
Mm-hmm.
we hit like 15 birds in one walk recently. Or plants, and we'll say, "Well, what
Yes.
is that plant?" And she'll just focus on it, and it'll come back. And amazing technology that usage. Yeah.
Trevor, I invested in a birdfy, Birdfy. It's a birdhouse on a tall pole attached outside on my lawn, and it runs on Wi-Fi, and there's a little solar panel, and it identifies all the birds, sometimes 25 to 50 a day, and it will identify through AI the breed, if you will, or the genera of the bird, and it'll say a male something or other just visited, and it's busy at the birdhouse. I used to keep it on my phone. I couldn't get. I was holding it up on my shows, saying, "Look what just came to my." So I turned off the app, but it's very interesting. It's doing that, and the bird seed from the feeder fell down into this little garden area underneath the bird feeder. Okay, and they sprouted the seeds. They didn't do it last year. I now have 5.5 foot tall somethings growing with these huge leaves. So a neighbor came over and I said, "What the hell is this crap? Should I cut it?" And she held up her phone. She went to one of those, Trevor, identify, and it said, "These are called bird seed sunflowers." And today I looked and it looked like some flowers are getting ready to pop at the top. These are five
Wow.
and a half feet tall. There's about 15 of them. First
Wow.
time. So talk about identification. Thank you very much all for that. And I think we're very much ready to go to, let me go and get our magic PowerPoint up here. Let's see the screen. And let's go introduce ourselves. And here we go. Can everybody see this? Yes?
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to be the engineer here, and I'm going to go welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of poets and AI with me, live streaming poetry readings, May 27th. That's our date there. We are introducing Bob Gossom. We are introducing Cheryl Michie. And we are introducing Trevor Harrison. There we go. So let's kick this off with you, Bob. I'm going to just let you do the reading, and it's all yours. Go ahead.
I watch the eagle slam into the lake, stunned and then scrambling across the slippery ice. She struggles, climbs, bleeding into the air. She steadies, circles, perches, and an hour later slams down hard again. Testing in front of me, I make my way out to see a catfish frozen into the ice. I spend a long time there, still with the fish. Back on shore, I go to the shed and take the small pick. On the ice again, I chop at the surface. I don't stop until the dead catfish cannot be seen, freeing the eagle from its confusion between what is alive and what is gone. I return to the house and sit by the window, watching the lake for a few more hours. My wife asks, "Am I okay?" I say yes, and then I say no. She understands because last night my father died.
Oh,
Mm.
I just got chills, Bob. Okay. Anybody have any comments, or should we just go on? Cheryl or Trevor?
Just an amazing poem. I read it yesterday, I think. Actually, I'd read it a couple of times, and wow, that a couple of lines there are just absolutely stunning and so powerful. And to finish off with the last lines,
Mm.
it brings it all home. Great poem.
And Bob, I like the way you laid it out, the way the sentences are spread out in two lines, and each thought just lands, just the way you read it.
Thank you.
I like the spacing. It gave space to the thought, space to the incorporating the idea and giving it time to sink in. So thank you. Cheryl, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I agree with both you and Trevor. And the space is beautiful, and the imagery is just breathtaking. It's really beautiful. And then that, the sort of watching it for a while, going back inside, and just the reflection that's happening, and then that ending. Really good, really amazing.
Powerful.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. That
Cheryl, you're
means a lot.
next. Bob, thank you for sharing that. It was beautiful. Great way to start. Cheryl, you're up next. Let's go to our dandelions.
Dandelions. Like dandelion seeds, we scattered and planted ourselves further and further away. But still, dandelions we are, each one rooted. We stretch high towards the sky, sometimes in bunches. Then we close in on ourselves at night to make new seeds. We scatter to the wind, we soak down in the rain, and sink into soft dirt. We rise up anywhere. We push through concrete cracks, popping up, a part of the landscape that can never be left behind. Our golden manes shine. The sun bends down, kisses us, nourishes us. We soak it all in. Hearts warm, toes light. We wiggle with the worms.
Mm. Bob, Trevor.
Just
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Bob.
Well, I appreciate the stanza where you take us from the garden into the concrete, and it just makes the whole thing more real. Brings it into our real world, our everyday world.
Hmm. Yeah, Cheryl, from your poems we've had in the past and reading this one again, it's wonderful how you bring kind of emotions into these concrete details of nature and everything. The blend is quite wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
I'm looking at the last stanza. We wiggle with the worms. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
let that sit there. Thank you. Trevor, you're next. Let's go to Paris.
Yeah. Well, a short, addendum to this. So I wrote this actually many years ago. So you'll see that the wording, some of the wording seems a bit old, pre-Euro, but I resuscitated the poem for a collection of poems recently. So The Buskers of Paris. See them standing in the subways, woolen blankets at their feet. Throw a centime to the singers, buy them wine and bread to eat. One is tall and thin and nasal, guitar warped and worn and old, wears a garment, sans repelling Paris streets and winter cold. Second plays his tortured trumpet, notes against the subway wall, falling lifeless, hurried footsteps, listening, but not heard at all.
Hmm.
O you passers-by, please listen. Hear, O stragglers in the fray. Hear our voices, starving, naked. Think that we have lost our way? Our music is our slim salvation. Our lives are what we dare to choose. Grasp your hurried ways of winning. We embrace what not to lose. And of the coins that you are throwing, thinking they will set you free, for us, our lives, our liberation, lies in our stark poverty. So said the minstrels in their music, in their hauntings of the air, while passers-by walked hurried onward, heedless, up the subway stair.
I'm thinking of Penn Station when I used to commute to Manhattan, and
Yep.
the buskers on the subway platform, or where the Long Island Railroad was, and the music, the guitar cases opened, hoping people will put something in paper rather than coins in. Bob, Cheryl, any thoughts?
Well, hearing Trevor read this, I was so struck by the musical rhythm inherent in the poem, just being part of what the poem's about. That was really nicely done.
Cheryl?
Here.
Yeah, I love hearing both of you read too. It's just so it just adds everything. The part about the I guess the fifth stanza, our music is our slim salvation, our lives are what we dare to choose. I thought that was really beautiful. That was just, this is you go on about your hurried ways of winning, and we're here to, live the life we've choose. Anyway, I love that part.
And Trevor, the part that bothers me, that poked at me, was, and of the coins that you are throwing, thinking they will set you free. That skewered, that burned. You're
Hmm.
passing by, you're walking hurriedly by, you're heedless up the stairway, you're listening, you're not hearing us. You throw the coins, they will set you free. That's a knock. That's a,
Yeah.
hey, I know who you are and I know you why you're doing this. Yes, yes, yes. Very interesting. Did I did I find that it hit the right nerve there, Trevor? Was that the purpose?
Oh, exactly. No, that's
Okay,
exactly how I was what I was trying to capture in the
you
poem.
did.
And yeah, thank
You
you.
did very well done. Thank you for reading. And let's go to Bob. We have two short ones from Bob. That's unusual. So why don't you read one and then the other, please?
His fingers graze the fruit. It bursts full into his hands. He brings the nectar tentatively to his lips. It overwhelms him as it runs down his throat and drips from his chin. He inhales thoughts of a time when this fruit was familiar.
Oh,
Mm.
mm. All I can say is, Trevor, anything?
Yeah, just the imagery. You can just see the individual just grasping this fruit. It's yeah.
I think there are so many ways to go with this. Cheryl, any
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, definitely peaches. And it reminds fruit, it's funny, you take that pause and it just reminds me of standing over the sink, to try to catch the drips and just thinking like, wow. It brings you back to times when you've done that before. So I just love, yeah, I love this image.
Bob, I'm thinking it has nothing to do with fruit.
Yeah, yeah, you may be right. Um, this actually was a very important poem for me in I think I wrote in my mid 50s, and I was in a transition from, my angry young man poems and trying to figure out what was my next voice.
Hmm.
And I was struggling. And this poem came out and kind of pointed a way.
Mhm.
I liked it. I got a kick out of you said your angry young man poems in your mid-50s. I think that was a
Well,
wonderful
they were
thing to
earlier,
say.
but I was working. It was a long
You're
transition.
you're giving hope to people. 50 is now the late 20s. Thank you, Bob. That was wonderful. Bob, read your next one before I continue to get too excited here. Go ahead.
In the quiet of the night, I find you sleeping, cascade across the pillows, our evening fight. I had a dream of stillness, awoke with fright. Awake, I dream of movement in the quiet of the night.
Hmm, lovely. Trevor, you want to say something?
I love that line, cascade across the pillows. That's, quite wonderful. And the sense here of a fight, some confrontation, and how it doesn't end, and you keep sort of replaying it, and dreaming the fight hadn't happened or something. Yeah, again, really quite evocative poem as
Thank you.
usual.
Yeah.
Mm.
Cheryl?
Yeah, the dream of stillness. I find that really beautiful.
And I find awoke with fright frightening.
Mm.
I dream of movement, awoke with fright. I it makes me fearful that something else was going on. Okay, Bob, any thoughts before I move on? Any other
No,
comments?
no,
Lovely, beautifully
thank you.
done. Thank you. All right, Cheryl, you're up. Little chrysalis, yours.
Your hands dancing you along bring many gifts to share. This circle game, this extended belly, a 7-year-old here, a 10-year-old there. The dog, the cat, you make me think of Xenia's baby girl. Settle down next to me. Rest your feet. Come, little chrysalis. Your daddy sings you bedtime songs. Be born soon, so your little mama can rest.
Oh, it's lovely. That's so sweet. Was this written at a certain time in your life or?
Oh, definitely a reaction to my daughter being pregnant with her third child and waiting for the baby to be born and just like, oh my gosh, please like come along soon because it's yeah, anyway.
How quick can 9 months happen? Trevor, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was immediately taken back to the time of our kids being born, and then now grandkids, and the fatigue of motherhood, and also fatherhood, but mothers particularly. Yeah.
Yep. Bob, any thoughts?
It's just a wonderful poem, and it captures that edge, of anticipation. It clear feels very much like a daughter that you're in preparing for a granddaughter. And there's that moment of quiet before the birth, and everything breaks out to hell afterwards. And but so your little mama can rest is so uh, understandable. I
Oops,
mean, but
sorry.
of course, she's not going to get any rest after the baby's born, but she's
Of
so
course.
done. She needs rest from this pregnancy.
Correct.
It
Yeah.
cuts both ways,
Yep.
Uh, yeah.
Rest from
So
the circle game, rest from the
yeah,
extended belly. Yes,
yeah.
rest from the transformation. Thank you, Cheryl. And now, Trevor, the Greece poems. I put two of them up here, so why don't you
Yeah.
share them?
Thank you. Of all things Greek, Sappho, Socrates, Cavafy, Sepphoris. Of all things born of these islands, sun and sand and naked flesh, music, food, and laughter, oleander, roses, and bougainvillea, ouzo, and dances in late-night tavernas, nothing is so Greek as poetry.
Oh, that's lovely. You brought so much into that. Bob, Cheryl?
I
It,
I I, I love your rhythms. And hearing you read them, they just come through. Uh, they're really remarkable.
Thank you.
Cheryl?
it's just so romantic. It makes me feel like I'm on a beach on a Greek island
Yep.
and just the smells and Yeah, all that deep
Oh,
history.
Trevor, I see it as a snapshot. You have philosophers in there. You have people in there. You have the landscape in there, the music, the food, the laughter. You give us a tour of a garden, dancing and booze and everything. You packed into 9 lines. You packed almost a history lesson, a snapshot of in time. Very beautifully done. Very
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, shall we go to Athens now?
Athens. What is it about this city that I have walked awake and in my sleep forever, that I have never left, and to which I must always return? Even in its downtrodden grief or pitiless despair of recent years, I come, a prodigal son, to imbibe its laughter, music, food, and drink, a feast set out for my return.
Mm, walked awake and in my sleep forever. Says it all for me. Bob, thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to talk about those two lines. I just love them, and I love there's a certain repetitiveness about leaving and returning that shows up throughout the poem that just gives it a nice cohesiveness. But that I've walked awake and in my sleep forever. It's wonderful.
Cheryl? She's
Yeah, I
smiling.
love the prodigal son, coming back. I often feel like that myself, even though prodigal daughter, I guess. But like like Bob was saying, the returning, the leaving and returning is really sweet.
Thank you, Trevor. Okay, Bob, this is a two-pager, so let's get started. Up to you. Over to you.
Okay. I work a line. Night ends and I start the line. Each morning, each night, each morning. For a moment, I am ordinary. Then it's the same first chapter of remembrance of the moment of the past, of the line of pain. I am awake. The artist says it will hurt. He replies, I know. So she prepares the ink and turns on the tattoo needle. It suits him, this device, and the emblem it reveals on his heart. Pain began my line. The memory of pain is my emblem. Here, this is who I am. Here, this is where you find me. If they recognize the line, the glances are knowing, but scared. But they don't follow. I'm never found. This is who I am. A woman meets a man in a restaurant. It is public. It is a safe first date. She touches the gentle tattoo on his wrist, sees the fine line extending under the cuff. Later, she traces it further, following the intricate patterns toward the device, the emblem at the heart. He trembles as her finger approaches. Not ready. Not now. When? Why? They break apart. I spend my lunchtime watching the ferries dock and then plow their lines away again. With my sleeves rolled down, the passengers don't know who I am, what I carry, where my line leads, and where it ends. These are different, she says as the needle hums. He keeps his eyes closed as the artist loops the new lines. He opens them as the colors are filled in. Beautiful colors, she thinks. The next week he gives her more to add. Fewer lines, more colors. I call her again, astounded as her finger once more traces the line from my wrist. I try to stop her from reaching the end, but she replaces my hand with her lips.
Mm.
Mhm.
What a journey. Trevor?
It's hard to know where to begin in thinking about this poem. It's so sensual and thoughtful, and it ties together so many ways of thinking about the line. We all, as writers, work with writing lines, and yet here's lines in a picture, lines that run through your life. Yeah, it's there's a lot going on in this poem that just you want to read it over and over and over again to think about each stanza.
Mm. Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm pretty mesmerized with this poem and threads, lines are threads that weave through our lives, our past lives, our future lives. And I really like the images of the fairies and the the dock and the lines, that boats have to pull them in, that kind of thing, and all the things that are carried down the rivers. And the river itself is a line. It's just anyway, it was really just a beautiful poem, and it was really nice to hear it read.
Oh, thank you.
Bob, I'm drawn to the meet the woman in the restaurant in a safe space. And then that small snippet of the date that you just kind of tantalized us with. You just threw it in there. Who was she? Where were they? Why was she there? How long did she stay? What did she mean to him? Was this a first? Was there history? And then I called her again. He still wanted her. In the last line, she replaces my hand with her lips. It's just delicious. Really, really, really delicious. This took me out of the lines and the metaphors and into the relationship with the lines. So thank you. That was lovely, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Cheryl. Nature's Jubilee. You're up.
The little annuals planted on the porch are huge now, overflow the railing and into each other's pots. Tomatoes too leafy, with intermittent orange globes sticking out here and there amidst the green ones. Marigolds, bright orange, red, yellow at their peak and proud of it, take on the speak of the sun. Wild morning glories wrap themselves around the periwinkle plumes of the Russian sage as it tries to escape. The viney trendles grab hold and grab on. The thistle next to the clematis bloom delicate lavender flowers with bright yellow cones, call out to bees, sip me, sip me. A lemonade stand for thirsty passers-by. Lilies now parched with their dying back hollow stalks turn the lightest to brown end to end. A volunteer cherry tomato grows along the underbrush, feeding hornworms that will turn into hawk moths, soon to visit the porch flowers on the next full moon, celebrating nature's jubilee.
Lovely. It's a glossary. It's a tour.
Yeah.
It's an encyclopedic view of everything. Bob,
Yeah.
you're swaying back
Uh,
and forth. What do you think? I'm
I,
watching
I,
you.
I like it so much. And to me, it touches back to Whitman, just his wonderful listing in
Mm.
detail. Um, and not quite as wordy as Whitman, which is probably good. Uh, but and just immersing yourself. It's wonderful. And I like the moths bringing it back full circle and uh, representing the circle. So nice, very nice.
Trevor?
Yeah, nice, as Bob says, the allusion to Whitman's writing. Wonderful detail. It's almost like using the flower app to hold it up to the flowers, and here's all this detail that just rushes out of the poem here, describing what each of these flowers is. So yeah, wonderful.
And I used to have tomato plants when I first moved in here 3.5 years ago, and I have gotten rid of them and the trellises too. But we had volunteer cherry tomato plants, Cheryl. And
Mm.
volunteers, they just keep rooting themselves and rooting for themselves, and they pop up, and you didn't plant them there, and you didn't expect them there, and they were in between the wild daisies that blew from seeds across the street, and it was interesting. And I have to tell you that there is a lovely clematis, one lavender flower growing up the side of the back deck through the railing, and it's sitting there on the porch right now. When I walk out, I can see it. So this had the color was lovely. And the bees, a lemonade stand for thirsty passersby. How
Yeah.
beautiful was that? That was gorgeous, Cheryl. Just
Yeah.
gorgeous. I'm going to move on in the interest of time. We've got three from Mr. Harrison. Go.
Okay, the Lady of Cadiz. The Lady of Cadiz, Crianza in her hand, abhors the windswept quay of tourists, salt and sand. She muses, ponders the years, those things that drift away, lovers, friends, and auburn hair, all things that never stay. Leaves a well-worn book to read, a dried rose on the page, pricks her finger, still it bleeds, and will not cease with age. She lifts the wineglass to her lips, gets up and slips away, and bids a glance to far-off ships, a farewell to today.
I love your rhyme scheme. They're
Yeah.
so neat. They're contained. They're lovely. Just lovely. Bob or Cheryl, I want to move on quickly across the page, but Bob or Cheryl, any comments quickly on the first one, or shall we wait for the page? What do you think?
It's a wonderful poem.
Lovely.
It just has so many internal repetitions and references that it's lovely. Yeah,
A dried rose on the page pricks her finger. How
yeah.
interesting. You wouldn't expect that, right, Cheryl?
That was it for me too. That was it for me too. The prick on the from the page. Yeah.
Did not expect that. Trevor, let's go to the Winnipeg memory.
A Winnipeg memory. A young woman, slim and raven-haired, her breasts yet unannounced. She might sit atop a vanner wagon, wolfhound at her side, tarot cards in hand, but instead moves, lithe and wary, a bar waitress bearing blue to men indifferent of her mystery.
Wow. Wow. It's all I can say is talk about painting a picture. Bob, you're smiling.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yep. Cheryl,
With
same.
Yeah,
things we don't appreciate.
the tarot cards did it for me and the
Just
dog.
just
Mhm.
hits you in the face. Trevor, go ahead. What's our Puerto de Mogan?
Porta de Mogan, in the open pitted square of the town, turns nothing. The boats are beached, their hands gone for the night. The coal lamps are dim, and the old wives sit watchful, almost silent, as evening shifts its restless weight across the sky.
Trevor, how do you pack so many images into so few lines so beautifully? You're telling huge stories in just 5 lines.
Well, thank you.
Bravo. Thank you. Any comments, Bob or Cheryl?
Well, I mean, the comment, so many stories in so few lines apply to all of these.
Mm-hmm. You're a storyteller.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really paints a story. Like I want to know more. The old wives are sitting watchful. I want to know what happens.
Yep. Very nice. That we move on. Bob, you're up. This is interesting. I put it on a lavender page because I didn't know what color the pumps were, but maybe you said that. Go ahead, Bob.
The all right. So the judge wore pumps. It's hard to look people in the eye when your hand and foot shackles drag you down, but you see plenty on the scuffed linoleum of the corridors, checked in schoolroom patterns of light and dark, not white or blue anymore, because nothing here is the way it started, but is worn by the passing of the prison chanclas on your feet and the disguised running shoes of the dragon-slaying public defender who has just started tilting at dragons and hasn't yet found the place to press the spear. But the heavy cushioned shoes of the court sheriff reflect one surprise of kindness as he kindly helps you through the bars and doors of a day that is only erosion. How does a sheriff do that? But still your eyes fall into the deep pools worn in the marble steps, wondering how many scuffs does it take to curve the marble? And you imagine standing there for a year, endlessly twisting on the cold stone, sinking slowly as you watch your feet and then your legs grind away.
Mm, 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 mm. Trevor?
So many lines again that jump out. The doors of a day that is only erosion. Grabbed me. The sheer momentum of the poem because there's so few kind of there's not periods or anything. It just drives forward. It's it captures. You can imagine this individual in this courtroom. Yeah, it's very, very powerful.
Cheryl?
Mhm. Yeah, the momentum and the use of time. Um, it's immediate, but it's very long. So I really, th those are the things that really stood out to me. Just there was times when it was speeding up, the time at the end was slowing way, way down. Really, really enjoyed hearing that.
And Bob, what stood out for me is the disguised running shoes of the dragon slaying public defender who just started tilting at dragons and hasn't yet found the place to press the spear. Wow. I watch a lot of French language and Italian language detective shows. By the way, the female detectives are often called the investigating judge, and they do go to crime scenes. And it's interesting because they do wear high heels and they have beautiful designer handbags. So I
Mhm.
just thought when I read the title, I thought, I wonder who this is talking about. Very interesting. Bob, any comments before I move on?
Uh, oh, this poem was, I thought about it for months trying to, I was struck. It was a long journey to get here. And then one day I was taking a walk and I had thought about erosion. I thought about and the line that I was thinking about all the shoes people wore. And the line well, the judge wore pumps came to me and all of a sudden I knew I had the poem and just rushed back home to write it. And then when I
And
was done, the judge wore pumps wasn't even in the poem. So I made it the
I
Yeah.
still gave you the purple background. There we go. I don't know how many more are left, but I'm sorry, Jordan is probably going to take us out from Voice America Business, and we're just going to keep going. So, Cheryl, why don't you do the next one for us, please?
Hmm. Craving sugar, craving spring. I fell off my bed, screamed when you said goodbye. Kiss me before you go. I see you in the snow moon, every which way I turn. The train passes by, stops me in my tracks. I hear my voice in the clickety clack saying, call me when you get home. This miracle of life is mine. I can't take you anymore. Please find my soul. I'm craving anything sweet. Just add sugar, you said. I found some under my pillow last night in my dream. It was you. Oh, February is true longing, the edge of spring, maybe. Even the daffodil pushes up and up. There's a crocus inside of me ready to stretch its fragile purple wings through a chrysalis of snow. My longing pulls me, pushes my courage, tests my love, the sweet, the sour, every bit, every hour.
Mm,
Hmm.
kiss me before you go. Mm, Bob, thoughts?
Uh, I love the undefinedness of the poem
Mhm.
that you don't tell us exactly what's going on. You let us feel it. I like that very much.
Trevor?
The nice thing about this poem, a lot of poems, is that the reader can put themselves into it and take the poem uh, where their own experience and emotions want to take them. And this poem leaves that capacity for the reader.
Absolutely. And Cheryl, I'm looking at I can't take you anymore. Please find my soul. That to me is the core of the message. We don't know who they are and what the problem is. And kiss me before you go yet. Yeah. Pushes my courage, pulls me, tests my love. A lot of contentiousness here. Very interesting. Cheryl, any thoughts before I move on?
Yeah, I think you all got it. Thank you so much.
That's always good to know.
Yeah, it is. Let's go to Trevor. We've got two from you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Vasco da Gama. This is in the former Portuguese colony of Goa. In Vasco's harbor of black-faced tugs and trawlers rust yellow clad, the Indian sun curtsies and falls on Bina Street's dusk promenade. A sigh is released from old sailors, mothballed